Hello, everybody. It's Dave, the microgreens guy, and we have a new. This is the new nasturtium. I should have had an overlapping one. I regret it so much, but this is the new one, and she is looking really nice. I can't really go zoom in too much with the phone. I gotta kind of stay back here because it zooms in too much. But I'll try. Look, it's kind of yeah. Um, she's doing real good. See if we can zoom in here. She's real thick. I always plant quite a bit of seeds in here, but even what I'm doing right here, this is one of the things that I was kind of telling people about in one of the little classes that I was doing is spreading the foliage out on top, even with your microgreens trays. I just took her out. The lights just came on, so she's well watered and real lush, real thick. I've even been trimming some of these out to put in the salads too, because see how these are? They got a nice distinct little shape to them, and they're spicy. Nasturtium has a little bit of spiciness to it, a little bit of kick. But you can see she's real thick. This is a fabric pot. I always plant my nasturtiums in fabric pots so that they don't get root bound. Also, it helps a lot with you're not going to get over, you're not going to get root bound, and it's almost impossible to water this type of plant. I'm not saying every plant, but the nasturtiums they're thirsty plants anyway. I water them a lot, sometimes twice a day. I just started a new feeding schedule with this one using some fish and kelp mix that I have. It's OMRI listed. I always use all organic stuff all the time. But you can see here, like I said, she's really thick, nice and lush. Little short. I gave her a little bit more veg time, but she's in flowering hours now, so you got to regulate your hours. So it's I usually turn my lights off at about 1 in the afternoon, and then I turn them back on at about 9 at night. So I give the plants about 8 hours of darkness, and then they get about 16 hours of light. You can always change that based on you can always change your schedule and how your plants grow, because they're going to grow more at night. They store energy when the lights are on, so they're storing energy into their leaves, and then at night is when they start growing. They start producing more root mass, and so I'm hoping that she's gonna get, I don't know, maybe another. I hope she gets a lot taller than this. I'm sure she will. But again, like doing this to the plants. So you have all this in here. So if I open this up, you can see a lot of stuff in there that's, that needs to get out. So if you're spreading this out, it kind of does a couple of things. So one thing is you're opening up space where little ones could get more light. See these little ones in here, they don't get light. They start getting yellow. They're going to yellow off. They're not going to grow as much. They're not going to, provide energy to that particular shoot that's growing out. So you want to move this around. I do this a lot during the day. Whenever the lights are on, I'm constantly doing this with the plants and with the microgreens as well. So it's the same thing. So when you have your microgreens, it's going to be flat across like that, but you're going to have a canopy like this. So if you look at it, and microgreens are going to be a lot denser than this. They're going to be a lot thicker. So if you just leave it like this all the time, anything underneath is not going to get light. So go in and just gently use your hand and just kind of spread all this out, spread all of it around the edges. Another thing you're going to do is you're going to strengthen them up, because when you do that, it creates hormones. So it sends auxins to the plant and it tells it, hey, we need to strengthen up a little, so they get nice and sturdy. I mean, she's just thick, she's like very robust. Her name's Gertrude, by the way. But you want to be a little delicate, but they can stand a little bit. These can stand a little bit more. You would think the microgreens and stuff would break off, but they're pretty sturdy. So again, hopefully this is where I'll get my nasturtium flowers from. Um, I'll even get seeds from here. I had posted a video on I think on Instagram, one of the social media. I'm trying to do more, but just showing that you can get seeds. So a lot of the seeds from my last plant I planted in here, as well as some that I already had. I had got a pound of them. So, and then I also had a little bit of my specialty seeds left. So I threw some of those in there as well. Like, notice while we're chatting here, I'm still kind of going around her whole body and just kind of fluffing everything out. So what'll happen here is I'll maybe give her probably tomorrow, maybe I'll make a video tomorrow where what I'll do is I'll create like a square, even though it's a round pot. So about where this strap is at, these have straps, but I cut them off because they're in the way. But where the straps are at is I put long bamboo sticks that'll go up to about here, and you'll have 4 of them. And then what I'll do from there is I'll create a like like a wired and bamboo shelf. So as it grows up and through there, one thing with these plants is as they grow, they'll get so big, and if they're not strong enough, they're going to fall over on themselves like this, and then anything that's underneath just gets crushed. So I've learned from experience, these, when you're doing them in a pot like this, you got to give them somewhere to go. Otherwise, it's just going to fall over on itself and crush itself, and then you're just, like you're not doing the plant well. So you got to take care of it, and it's work. You got to stay on these constantly. You can't, if you're growing and you're just going to throw some stuff into a pot or whatever, and to me, that's just not the way to grow. You got to put a little bit into them. You got to put a little tenderness into them and a little care, and it's going to show in your end result. People that are growing microgreens, I can tell you right now, grow some nasturtiums. Get yourself some edible flowers, and basically what you're going to do is you're going to add value to your flowers. I mean, one flower can make a $3 salad look like a $10 salad just because you put one flower in them. And then if you grow some other things like radish, throw some radish microgreens into a 10 by 10 tray and just let them grow. Just keep them watered and just let them grow. And at about the same time period that a nasturtium grows, about 50 to 60 days, you're going to start getting these little, they're pretty small, but they're like petite flowers. And you'll get purple ones and white and purple ones. And so then you have 2 different kinds of edible flowers that you can throw into your salads. And believe me, it is going to make all the difference. I've found out myself, that it makes a big difference. People want to see that color, and it adds an extra detail that you're not really going to see anywhere else. In fact, this little leaf right there, the minis are about that big, maybe a little bit bigger, but they're probably about that big, so you're getting nice little petite flowers, and you get all these other flowers too. Plus you can get seeds from this. Like I've said before, each one of these, each one will produce 5 or 6 flowers. Each one of those flowers could produce up to 3 seeds. So if you think about it, for one seed that you put in here, you could end up easily recuperating, multiple seeds from that single shoot that comes up, So see how up underneath here, they're nice and thick. These are nice and thick. They're nice and strong. They're getting, that's what you want. You just want it to be nice and thick up underneath there. Can't really focus, not focusing well, but anyway. So, and you kind of want to look, so a lot of times when they're growing, I'll water up underneath here. I'll water from the top, but I'll go around the edges, because the edges of the pot, that's where it's going to dry out first. So anything on the edge, they're getting a lot more air, and they need a lot more moisture. In the interior, it's a lot more dense, and the water's staying settled in there more. But the nice thing about these is when you water them, just because of the way the properties are, as the water goes down and it drifts down, like this is still wet, you can see in the bottom, I had watered it earlier, still coming out the bottom there a little bit. to keep the bottom wet a little bit, they're fine because they have plenty of air. This is all fabric. So the problem with solid pots, you know, hard-sided pots is you're not getting that. You're only getting air that's coming in through, you know, through the top of the pot. You're going to get root bound, and then also if you have overwatering, you can run into overwatering issues, and you're going to get dampening off. You're going to get root rot. You're going to get all kinds of problems. So I love fabric pots. I think this is a 5-gallon. I think these are 5-gallon pots. They're pretty big pots. I love putting the nasturtiums in there because, as you can see, she's like a huge plant. Um, she'll get much bigger than this. But this is Gertrude, and flowers will be on the way, everybody. But you should be getting some of these nice little petals in some of your salads now, so you'll see things coming along. So say goodnight, Gertrude.